all dreams are random. Some feel deeper, like they reveal a hidden part of us, a mirror to the soul. This is one of those dreams. What you're about to hear is a true dream, but the names have been changed. The dreamer, we'll call him Isaac, a man with a dual nature, craving freedom, yet seeking balance, drawn to temptation, but striving for focus. His mind is a battlefield of discipline and desire. And on this particular night, Isaac's dream would lead him through shadows, light, temptation, transformation, and something otherworldly. Now, let's begin. Heaven and Hell, the dream of Isaac. My name is Isaac. I've always known there were two forces moving through me, one of light, one of shadow. I carry the proof on my skin, two small burn marks on my left hand, forming the letters HH, Heaven, Hell, branded there since I was a child, as if some unseen power had already chosen the shape of my life. It's not something I talk about, but sometimes I dream. And the dreams, they speak louder than anything I hear while I'm awake. This is one of those dreams, and even now, retelling it, I'm not sure if it was only a dream or something more. It began in a place of comfort, my grandmother's house, old wooden floors, faint scent of lavender and aging wood. She decided to move. Why, I didn't know. Only that it was time to pack up her things and close this chapter of her life. I was there to help. Not alone, but with my friend, Dorian. He had come too. With his wife, Celine. A couple others drifted through the rooms. Voices I knew, but couldn't quite place. Distant echoes of friends from my life. At first, everything felt easy. Light. I sat with Dorian, passing time by playing a game. Siege. One of those tactical shooters I liked. But in the dream, it wasn't a game. It was me, inside it. Blowing windows apart, dropping into rooms with deadly precision, moving fast, clearing enemies, breathing slow through each action. Strangely though, I wasn't holding a controller. It felt like I was piloting my body through a phone. A strange glass interface between thought and motion. At first, I was unstoppable. Then, something shifted. My control slipped. Shots missed. I couldn't track targets. Couldn't aim. Dorian called out, "Bro, what are you doing?" And I heard another voice too, Victor, urging me to stop playing and get to work. The world shifted again. The game ended. Reality took back over. Boxes, furniture, the house filled with the quiet chaos of moving. My task was simple. Clean out the room I'd been using. I should have gotten right to it, but time felt slow, heavy. I caught myself drifting, scrolling on my phone, staring out the window, lying back on the floor. That's when Celine came in. She looked down at me, a smile playing at her lips. "Need a hand?" she asked. Before I could answer, she was on top of me. Her hands pinning my arms, her body pressing close. The heat between us flared sharp and sudden. I felt myself hardening beneath her, instinct pulling at my will. Her hips began to move, slow, deliberate, dry, but insistent. Her eyes locked on mine, filled with that unmistakable invitation. Every part of me wanted to give in, but another part, deeper, held me back. Discipline, focus, the line I refused to cross. I made an excuse, pushed her off gently. Her laughter followed me as I stood and went back to work. Out front, the truck was nearly loaded. I brought down box after box, the rhythm of movement slowly clearing my mind. But when I returned to my room, one last sweep, I lay back on the bed for a moment, scrolling, thinking. And that's when she walked in. Amara, a woman I hadn't seen in months, maybe longer. A woman who stirred something deeper in me than lust. Curiosity, longing, something like love, you might say. She leaned casually in the doorway, watching me with a soft smile. "Hey," she said. My heart jumped. "Hey!" I managed, trying not to look foolish in the way I'd been sprawled across the bed. She crossed the room, sat beside me. The air between us buzzed, unspoken but clear. "Have you been?" she asked. "Good," I answered. "You?" We talked casually, like old friends, but my mind wasn't casual at all. Her presence lit a spark inside me. Not just arousal, something a bit more complicated than that. When the last box was in the truck, I made a choice. I stayed behind. The others could leave. I wasn't ready to walk away from this moment. Not from this time alone with Amara. Fast forward, I was back at work. I'm not sure how I got there. One minute I was checking my teeth, and the next I was standing in the front room of the shop. Dorian was there, a couple others too, and Nina. She came through the front door looking shorter than usual. No heels this time, and for a second it caught me off guard. Still, she looked good. My eyes couldn't help but notice. She walked straight over to me with that little smirk of hers. Without a word, I pulled her into a hug. It was tight, longer than expected, and the way she settled into my arms told me she didn't mind one bit. If anything, she was enjoying it. When we pulled back, she grinned. "I got him done." At first, I didn't catch what she meant, until she leaned forward just enough to show off her cleavage. My mind flickered for a moment, fighting back the urge to reach out. I wasn't sure how far it was too far. But then I noticed Dorian and Miles laughing, joking. They each gave her a playful squeeze like it was nothing. I thought, fuck that. If they can, I might as well. So I did. And they were exactly what you'd imagine. Soft, perky, and quite honestly, in my opinion, perfect. The moment didn't last long, but the energy from it lingered in the air. Next thing I know, the entire scene shifts. Suddenly, I'm not in my body, but I'm in a woman's body instead. I can feel it. Smaller frame, different energy, and I'm not at the shop anymore. I'm somewhere strange, mystical, old. The air felt thick, ancient. A voice started speaking to me, not from any person, but from something unseen. A presence. It guided me, pulling me forward through the shadows. I was being shown things. Dead bodies, old spirits, echoes of some past life. The more I looked, the more I began to understand. I was unraveling my own history. Memories, drama, hidden truths. Room by room, scene by scene, I floated through them, hovering above the floor as a voice whispered clues. Eventually, the presence revealed itself. A figure, strange, godlike, multiple arms and legs, shimmering, shifting. It reminded me of something from Hindu myth, though it wasn't exactly that. It was more primal, ancient, yet protective. I could feel that it was guiding me, not trying to harm me, but helping me understand. I followed it into what looked like an old, elaborate basement. There were people down there, a group of men, and a woman in conversation with them. They were talking quietly, like a secret meeting. The woman shared something about herself, her voice soft but confident. The men whispered among themselves, distracted by plans for some club or gathering. I realized then the being wasn't just a guide, it was a protector too. The scene blurred again, and suddenly I was back in my body, or at least back as myself. I found myself inside the plush interior of a luxury boat. Renee and Amara were there, both looking radiant, their smiles bright, eyes sparkling with mischief. Without warning, they pulled me into a room and, well, things quickly turned intimate. They were teasing me, laughing softly as they shared the moment. The warmth of it all lit a fire inside me, a rush I hadn't felt in a long time. I could feel the energy rising, the thrill of temptation right at my fingertips. They wanted more, I knew it, and I was all in. Before I could think twice, the scene snapped again. I was now in the car with Victor and Celine, the driver and his girl. Someone I didn't know. Victor was talking, telling me not to keep draining ideas from others, warning me to be original. I was confused. It felt like I jumped into the middle of a deep conversation I wasn't fully privy to. We ended up back home. Victor started complaining about me not eating the food he bought. I shrugged it off, telling him I eat when I'm in the mood, and if it's spoiled, so be it. Shortly after, I woke up. Now that the dream is over, we can get into the interpretations and reflections in order to help and guide Isaac. After waking from this dream, there was a lingering weight, not heavy in a negative sense, but charged with reflection, curiosity, and even clarity. It wasn't just a string of random scenes or urges. It was layered, deeply layered at that, like a mirror held to the parts of itself that remain unspoken or quietly juggled. Let's break this down even further. Temptation, desire, and restraint. Throughout this dream, you can see the constant weaving of attraction and self-control. From the playful tension with Celine, the magnetic moment with Nina, the surreal intimacy with Renee and Amara, there is an undercurrent of craving, a need for connection, intimacy, and pleasure. But equally present is restraint. Moments where Isaac does not advance, or hesitates, or considers the deeper implications. There's no accident. This reflects a real-world inner balance, the awareness that desire can coexist with discipline, that temptation is a part of life but does not rule the spirit. Transformation and identity, stepping into another body, a woman's body, and uncovering the past with the guidance of a multi-limbed godlike figure. That is the clearest metaphor of transformation of identity, growth of consciousness, peeling back layers of past experience to understand the present self. This dream affirms what he's been sensing in life. This is an era of change, of shedding skin, of becoming more attuned to who he truly is. Courage versus fear. The confrontation with the demon, the refusal to submit, is powerful. It shows that no matter how intense or dark certain energies may feel, Isaac's core, my core, is rooted in courage and inner power. Fear diminishes the more courage is shown. That truth was clear in the dream and remains clear in waking life. The balance of heaven and hell. I've always carried the burn mark, HH, on my hand, a strange personal reminder of duality, Heaven and Hell, and this dream danced perfectly along that line. The carnal and the spiritual, the playful and the disciplined, the guided and the chaotic, temptation and transcendence. It reminds me that duality is not something to be fixed. It's something to be balanced, to be aware of, to integrate. Creative flow and individuality. That final conversation with Victor about not draining ideas from others, it echoed something I've been thinking about in waking life. This creative path, my acting, my channel, it has to stay authentic. I am the niche. I can't compare my journey to anyone else's. I can't follow formulas that don't fit, and I must trust my own pace and instincts. And for final reflections, this dream wasn't just about desire. It wasn't just about fear or courage, and it also wasn't just about transformation. It was about all of it together. The master juggler archetype, the one who holds it all, who balances light and shadow. Isaac's story is my story, and my story is still unfolding. If you're listening or watching this, maybe your story is too. Some advice I have to myself and to you, the listener. Honor your duality. Both sides are part of the whole. Stay aware of your desires, but don't be ruled by them. Embrace transformation. You're evolving, so let it happen. Stay true to your creative voice. You are the niche. Show courage when facing your shadows. They only shrink when you do. Now I will get into the psychological and spiritual interpretations of my dream. Feel free to see this as an opportunity for vicarious learning on your part as the listener. For the psychological interpretation, first we have sexual urges and restraint. The sexual energy all throughout this dream wasn't random. I've always had a naturally high sex drive, and with my woman giving me permission to explore, of course, only in that sense. It's like my subconscious opened the floodgates. When Celine was on top of me, when Nina hugged me tight, when Renee and Amara were teasing and playing with me, those moments weren't just about fantasy. They reflected this inner tension I deal with in waking life. One, connection and intimacy with others, but also trying to stay grounded, respectful, and in control. It was a test of discipline versus desire. Even in the dream, I noticed that sometimes I held back, and other times I leaned into temptation. That back and forth, that's me figuring out my own boundaries in real life. Secondly, we have identity and self-exploration. When I shifted into a woman's body, piecing together a mysterious past, that hit different. It was like my subconscious showing me how I'm in a phase of growth and self-exploration. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I am evolving. It felt like I was trying on other forms, other perspectives, almost like peeling back layers of myself. I think that reflects what's been going on in my life lately. It's more reflective, thinking about who I am and who I'm becoming. Next, fear versus courage. Facing a demon and refusing to back down, that to me was powerful. I've always believed that fear only loses its grip when you confront it head on. In the dream, the more courage I showed, the smaller the demon became. That's how it works in life too. Whatever doubts, temptations, or shadows that I carry, they do not control me. I've got the willpower and inner strength to rise above them. After that, we have creativity and originality. That moment, that random moment near the end, when Victor told me not to keep draining ideas from others, that struck me. I think that was my inner voice reminding me, stay original and stop comparing. I've been seeing so many quote-unquote tips online about how to grow a channel, how to build an audience, and none of it feels like me. That part of the dream was like my subconscious saying, you are the niche. That content is me, and no one else can do it the way I do. Now, for the spiritual interpretations of my dream. First on this list, we have the duality of heaven and hell. This whole dream was full of duality. It's wild because I've always thought of the HH burn on my hand as heaven and hell. And here it was playing out again. Temptation versus discipline, light versus dark, courage versus fear. It's part of my nature. Both sides exist in me, and I've learned to respect that balance. That's where my strength really comes from. Secondly, we have guidance and higher forces on this list. The godlike being with multiple arms, that wasn't just for show. That was a guide. I know I'm not doing all this alone. Whether it's spirit guides, ancestors, my higher self, something is helping me move through this phase of life. That moment of seeing the past, floating through those memories, it was about transformation, about letting go of old energies so I can grow into who I'm meant to be. Next, we have transformation and alignment. For this spiritual interpretation, this means if there's one word that sums this dream up and what I'm going through in real life, it's transformation. I'm in a season of change, sexually, creatively, emotionally, everything. I'm learning more about myself, pushing through limits, aligning with my true purpose, acting, storytelling, building something that's my own. And it's not just about the outer world. It's inner work too. I'm letting go of things that no longer serve me and building a stronger, clearer version of myself and who I am. Looking back on this dream, I can see how much it reflected the crossroads I'm at right now. In my personal life, in my creative work, and even spiritually. There's this constant pull between temptation and discipline, connection and independence, control and letting go. And honestly, that's the human experience, right? Balancing those forces within ourselves. For me, this dream reminded me to trust my own path, not to compare, to embrace my growth even when it feels messy, and to remember that as long as I'm moving with intention, I'm where I need to be. And above all, fear loses its power when you face it with courage. Thank you for listening to this chapter in my dream series. I'll see you in the next one.